We will now move on to our next speaker. It's my great pleasure to invite Mr. Achim Haug from AirGradient, who will present on the open source hyperlocal air quality monitoring toolkit developed in partnership with UNDP. Mr. Haug is the founder of AirGradient, an open source air quality monitoring initiative that began as a volunteer project in northern Thailand and has grown into a global effort providing affordable, reliable, and openly licensed monitoring solutions to communities, especially in disadvantaged regions, while advancing transparent research, education, and environmental responsibility. So, Mr. Achim, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you for the introduction. So we are actually based not very far from here in Chiang Mai. It's around 800 kilometers. And we do open source air quality monitors, which are really, we share the design basically with everybody who wants to use it. Most of the monitors we export, around 95%. And with this open approach, open data, open source hardware, actually, we got a very interesting project last year with UNDP, which I want to quickly introduce. And I think the background was really that the hardware is there, but often the knowledge is missing, especially if you think about like second-tier cities, for example. So in the developing world, often they don't have the expertise. They're consultants, but they're expensive. So how can we actually develop something that a second-tier city or community can actually use to set up an accurate, low-cost air quality monitoring and has basically everything in a box. So that was quite a challenge, actually, for our team to say, like, we assume that there's basically zero knowledge and we want to set up something that's accurate and that's working. And who is it for? So it's really about like these communities that want to build local capacity. So it's also not giving them just access to a proprietary platform. It's really like sharing knowledge, training them, giving them the tools into their hands that they can like set these networks up themselves, that we enable these people to have an accurate measurement in their city, in their community. So specifically, we look at, for example, municipalities, but also whole countries. So at the moment, we have a big project in Laos, for example, where we provided 160 monitors all across the country. And we currently work with the Ministry of Environment there to integrate that into their reference network. But it can also be just like a civic society. You know, often it's really the power from the bottom up that needs the data, that also needs reliable data that they can trust because they need to make the case for cleaner air. And it can also be used by private companies. So the whole toolkit is open source. It's freely available. By the way, you can just scan the QR code on the top right and access this. So what's inside? And you can literally imagine like a box. So you have everything that you need. So it's obviously air quality monitors. It's sensor agnostic. So obviously it works with our own open source hardware monitors, but you can also integrate other monitors if they share the data, for example, to OpenAQ, and you can pull that in. It has around 300 pages of text documentation in around 20 chapters, 3 sections we see in a second. We also added 20 videos that guide you through the process. And I think that the most important thing is also really the integration into the tool landscape. So often you need to co-locate low-cost sensors with reference devices. You need to calibrate them. So if you are able to do everything in a super user-friendly way by clicking some buttons and then, for example, applying these calibration factors to your low-cost sensor networks, that brings you a lot of benefit and not really like not relying on external expensive help potentially. So the toolkit is structured in 3 sections. So it really starts at the planning phase, like what's your objective? You know, I think we learned over the last couple of days already, like air quality monitoring can have very, very different objectives. So it's really important that you define what you want to achieve with the network, and then go through like the technical nitty-gritties, like how to set it up, how to do the initial calibration of the network. And then it goes obviously into the operation phase, how to make sure it's not drifting, that you can do QA, QC. We have interesting things like background calibration possibilities of the whole network. And then I think one of the most important things in the end, how do you actually measure your impact? So it's really from start to the end, trying to help people, setting up a network, and everything is available with that QR code. Thank you very much.